What's going on, everybody? BobbyFi and Eric Sheetshaber. We're going to be talking through this two-game NBA slate. It's NBA Cup time, so we have late games every week, and every games that really matter to these guys. The players, I mean, they get bonuses for depending on which game and how far you go. Everybody gets a $500,000 bonus for winning. And while it may not sound like much when you're making $20-odd million, it's these guys are definitely playing for something, and it does have a little bit of a fun atmosphere. I'm kind of excited for it, so I'm looking forward to these ones tonight.
What about how much you think you have to pay Juan Soto to get excited about a?
All I can tell you, and you're not one of them, but I couldn't even look at X yesterday, not for the normal reasons of me just posted. Just every single fan is talking about how Juan Soto is the biggest trader of all time. I'm just like, okay, you elitist fan base, you got to slow down, slow your guys roll.
Trader? How long has he been there for?
He was there for 1 year. Like, give me a break.
But it's not like, I can't give a good example, but it's not like somebody's been there for like 12 years and then leaves or something.
Yeah, like and they were in the mix. It just he ended up going play. And it's like the Mets. I don't know. You have a better feel for this, but I don't understand the Mets and Yankees being so much rivalries. They've only played like twice.
They're really not. I mean, it's really just not like that. I don't know. I don't even get it. But the latest scuttlebutt is that they might be sending Alonso to the Yankees or something.
Oh my God! Really?
I don't know.
We'll see.
I will say that is quite a bit of money.
Yeah, it's crazy, these contracts, but I think
you know who's really in a good mood right now?
Who's that?
Vladimir Guerrero. He comes out next year.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. It's pretty wild that it shot up so much so fast, but is what it is, I guess.
Hey, there's very strange. So I see these two games here.
Yeah.
I don't see any real questionables. Like, Giannis is playing. Oh, there we go. Okay, so P.J. Washington is questionable for illness. Oh, also Najee Marshall questionable. Okay, so there are a couple of things.
My take is
it's a late game.
Yeah, I think that every questionable that's actually questionable is going to play. I think that teams are going to treat this game like it's a real thing, for what it's worth. So,
is there any value? First of all, I mean, I'm looking.
Yeah, there's extreme because Mo Wagner's out. I'm sorry, Franz Wagner's out. So we've got our guy Cole Anthony back in the mix.
No, are you kidding me? Cole Anthony from playing like 2 minutes a game is now chalk?
Because they don't have another shot like creator.
He played 30 minutes in the last game. Okay.
Yeah, with no Franz, this is what it's going to be something about him, maybe Wendell Carter, maybe Mo Wagner. These are none of these other than Cole Anthony or Anthony and Suggs are like kind of the only creators. So it's right off the bat, you kind of have to you're probably going to have to force in a pretty good amount, like Anthony, Batatse, Wendell Carter, as I mentioned, Suggs. They all look pretty good to me, and I like Mo Wagner off the bench. And then you've got De Silva as a value at 3,800 as the direct replacement, but that could easily be Jonathan Isaac. So I'm probably going to have at least probably 3 Magic on most of my teams here.
Well, let me look at something for a second, because what happened, popcornmachine.com or .net, whatever, is Popcorn Machine not around anymore? Let's see.
I think it is.
Let's see. Can't find it for some reason. Because I want to see what happened with this. Oh my God, here it is. Game flows. Let me go to the Orlando game because I know they started De Silva.
Yeah.
But Anthony came off the bench and played all these minutes. So let's just see how this worked. So it looks as though Silva, I mean, he never saw the fourth quarter. Okay. So Silva started first quarter. He played as if he was going to play starters minutes, right? So he played like 8 minutes. Then he came back in the second quarter. It played like 6. They took him out. And then he started him in the third quarter, and then he didn't see the floor again. Anthony came in and played, looks at 10 minutes straight. Came out, then came back in for, I guess, looks like De Silva in 10.5.
Mm-hmm.
Then he came in for De Silva again in the third quarter and stayed in the whole game.
Does it show, were they trailing that game?
It
doesn't say that there.
Does not.
Part of my issue with the thing.
It should say somewhere, but I don't. Yeah. I'm not really that good about doing this. His Cole Anthony's plus minus was plus 17.
Yeah.
and the Silva's was minus 12. So yeah, I guess they were behind, and Anthony was in when they led the comeback. So that's probably why they left all these guys. Anthony Black, same thing.
Yeah.
So he ended up closing out the game. So with a bunch of minutes. So that's looks like that's what happened. It looks like they were behind. Then they made sort of a comeback and they left the guys in.
Yeah, and I think that's because just a basic. They're going to need some sort of shot creation, and I just don't see like Cole Anthony right now. I ran some builds and I'm getting like 85% of it. I think that makes perfect sense. Yeah, sure. I guess you could argue there's a bus path somewhere. I don't really know. I think that they just don't have enough other guys to create shots. It's also a good matchup for them with the Bucks playing drop coverage. You can hit threes, whatever. It's really hard not to play these guys. My favorites are Anthony, Suggs, and Batatse, and Wendell Carter, then Wendell Carter, then Wagner. But I really think you're going to end up playing 2 or 3 of them in most lineups, at least. Anthony Black's always a tough one because he is not a shot creator. He's a guy on the court who's a low usage. So his spike didn't come the way that maybe some people would have projected it did. In fact, I actually am showing it. If he really gets no ownership at all tonight, though, I think we could probably get overweight. Like he's projected at 5% ownership, just because he might play a bunch of minutes. I think that it's worth getting a little bit of that.
I mean, I just wonder if this is definitely going to be what happens. I wonder if De Silva just does a little better, that maybe Anthony does not come in and close out this whole freaking second half.
I just think that it's not about doing. They don't have another guy they don't have any shot creators.
Okay.
I mean, that's why we've been seeing this Franz with like a 40% usage rate a lot of the games. That's just
right. Right. Okay, that could be.
And the bad play to me is the KCP. There's really no boost. We've gone through this with him for 50 years. He doesn't get a boost when the other guys are off. He's not a shot creator at all. If he happens to get there just by being on the court, that's totally fine. But I'm not gonna be like play a 20 some odd % owned guy who had in the last game without these guys, he had an 8% usage rate, which I don't know if I've even that's almost hard to do on an NBA court. So I have KCP as the one who I'll be underweight the most.
Yeah. So based on my current projections, without making any adjustments for anything, I'm getting like that 80% of the Cole Anthony as well. I'm not getting 100, but I'm getting 80. Yeah. And then Goga and Jalen Suggs. I guess guys that could actually score, I suppose. Yeah. Now again, it's worth mentioning that it's a 2-game slate, and you do want to try to get a little funky in a 2-game slate. You don't worry too much about dupes in basketball usually, but if you're going to worry about it, it's going to be on a 2-game slate. So if there's anything you could do to get even a little bit different, I think it's not the worst idea in the world. But those are the 3 guys, or for me at least, Cole Anthony, Goga, and Jalen Suggs. Yeah. What about Milwaukee? Do you like Giannis tonight? Are you getting to him or?
I think that it's pretty doable to get Giannis and Jokic. I'm sorry, and Luka if you want to. I'm not sure where I stand on that one yet. Right now I have Giannis at like 60% after my first build. I don't love a whole lot else on Milwaukee. I'm okay if you wanted to dumpster dive with AJ Green, with Gary Trent or Andre Jackson, because if you want to put that extra value in. But I also think there's an argument to be made for a more middling build and maybe playing guys like Portis or Lopez and maybe skipping the Giannis thing tonight. So I'm sort of flirting with that idea. I'm still not sure where I'm going to end up on it.
Yeah, as you see my current exposures here, I'm actually getting just as much Lillard as Giannis. I'm getting like 38% Lillard, 40% Giannis, and then also, like you mentioned, like 25% Portis. So yeah, I mean, I would I imagine that the Giannis Cole Anthony pairing is going to be, pretty well received. So if you don't want to play Giannis, I think you can do it. I mean, I think you play Lillard, or you fade the whole Milwaukee team somehow and just play this other game, which we'll get to, because I'm actually getting more of Shea than either of the studs.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, let's get into that one. Let's start off that one with the so you're not getting much Luka, I'm imagining that then.
No. Like if you look at my thing, like right now I'm getting like 80% like Caruso with like 55% Giannis, 55% Shea, and 51% Hartenstein. I'm not really getting to Luka it looks like at all. No, actually that's not true. I'm getting like 16%, but certainly significantly under the field.
Yeah. That's interesting. I've got my first builds had a bunch of them. Now I've got them at only 30%. If I had to just say though, between he and Giannis, I think it's pretty close between those two. We've got Giannis projected at 51. We've got Luka projected at 59. Why would I be getting so much less of Luka? Is it just a position availability thing? I think that's the answer, because the guards are where the value is, and you've got other good guard plays. So it's kind of interesting because I think Luka's a better play straight up. I mean, he's projected 8 fantasy points higher, yet he and Giannis are going to be similarly owned because of the position eligibility. I think that's kind of weird. So
what about this Caruso play?
I feel like it's a little. I haven't gotten over to that side yet. It feels too weird. I actually put a cap. Like I'm not going to play 100% Caruso no matter what. I do think this, speculatively, like he should play more minutes in these types of games. He's obviously not a high usage guy. He's pretty much never a guy you have to worry about crushing value. Like he's not, but look, he's one of the other guys to throw in the mix for me. I don't want to end up with this, the currently 75% that I have of him. I would like to get a lower on that number for sure. And maybe the way to do that is on his own team is you can get low ownership on Aaron Wiggins and take a shot there. You can get low ownership. Why is it lower ownership on, what am I missing here about Isaiah Joe? That's the one I think I would probably be the most inclined to go with, because Joe may not do anything, but he also can shoot himself into a huge game. Maybe that's a good pivot to get lower ownership on than Caruso, but you're probably still going to end up with like 50% Caruso no matter what you do.
Are you inclined to play more in the later game because it's a later game, or you're not really thinking about it that way today?
So my favorite play on the slate to get different is PJ Washington, and I don't know for sure that he's going to play, but I'm assuming that he's probably going to. Remember that I don't call out his name all that much, but last time I did, it was against this OKC team. He had a good playoff series against them last year, and he put up 55 the last time they played. And there's something about this matchup that seems to get him going. So I like PJ Washington in this game, and it's going to make me have to I guess delay my. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to try to do it just for the reason of delaying. I just happen to like some of the get different spots, and the projections are not giving, like the Sims are not giving me like any Kyrie or Klay Thompson. I think I think there's a way you can flip around the way you build today and play. You mentioned Lillard, Jalen Suggs. You can play, the Kyrie from Dallas. You can play the Jalen Williams instead of Shea. I think those are just ways you can. There's just a lot of different types of builds that I'm still sort of messing around with. But currently, I'm sort of like you. I ended up with Shea and Giannis as my spend ups. I think I would actually like to get to more Luka, and I think I would like to force in plays like PJ Washington that I think he's going to be overlooked for whatever reason. You have a decent projection on Daniel Gafford today. I have him at they're trying to give me like 78% of them after the Sims and everything. I like Lively better, but if you're going to tell me Gafford's only 6% owned here, I kind of get it. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I'm going to just check, but I didn't recall seeing too much of them in the actual builds. But if he's going to listen in a 2-game slate, if you get anybody that's going to be on the court at 6%, I mean, you probably should play it. Let me just see what I'm getting with Gafford like now. I just did a little thing where I tried to get a little bit more unique. Yeah, look at this, 47%, huh?
Yeah.
That's really funny because I didn't see him too much. I just made this one adjustment with my spreadsheet where I kind of demanded a little bit, lower dupes and stuff like that. And I'm getting like now a full 47% of that. Oh, I'm kind of down with that actually.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way. I'm speculating. I don't buy that his ownership will be quite as low as it's being projected.
Okay.
But I still think he's a good play to get different. I just didn't understand why I was getting all of him, and now I realize that he's kind of the big differentiator that SaberSim loves today. because he's the one guy like in single digits who's going to play real minutes. I guess Case and Wallace would be the other one. But yeah, I ended up with Anthony, Shea, Gafford, Caruso, Giannis through my first runs, and then Suggs. But I'm probably going to tweak it a little bit and try to force in more PJ Washington. I just think he's going to be overlooked. I don't even think he'll be as popular as they're saying, especially if he stays legit questionable. And I just like him in this matchup. Yeah, it was giving me no Lively and all the Gafford. Okay. All right. That's one way to get different. I like Lively personally tonight, but I also like the idea of getting different. So 2-game slate, got to do that. Did you find anything much different on FanDuel? Or should
I'm going to do that right now, actually, now that you bring that up. So let's run one for FanDuel and see what that does. Or did I already? Let's see. Just see. Yeah, so my initial build on FanDuel, I didn't sim it yet. I'm going to do that right now. Was like, well, it's a little different. So still 77% Cole Anthony, but all this Jalen Williams. 75% Jalen Williams.
Interesting.
Is he like much cheaper over there? Is there something about the?
He's not cheaper. I understand. I think it's a position thing again. Yeah, because I've got 63% of him on my first build over there. Mm-hmm. So I do think that there's something standing out. Also, Lillard seems to be popping more, just a bigger price gap between he and the spend all the way ups. And there, Luka, I'm getting more of over there as well. And not quite as much of Cole Anthony, but still a good amount. So it should be interesting. Yeah, it's like, for what it's worth, I think that the Bucks and the Bucks and Thunder win these games. I'm surprised the Thunder spread isn't a little bit higher, but that's just me. And I'm actually surprised the Bucks spread isn't a little bit higher. You're missing your 2 best players for Orlando, and they're only favored by 7 at home. That seems a little. But they haven't quite been the same team from years past this year so far. So, yeah, so I'm trying to look at my get different play on FanDuel that I keep getting in the Sims is, again, the Gafford, but also Aaron Wiggins. I think those are you're just looking at such a small number of guys who are going to have Isaiah Joe. You could throw back in the mix, Derek Lively. Those are the ones on FanDuel that are going to be sub 10% that I think are all interesting and getting overweight on.
Well, here's another thing that I've been trying, by the way, and I did this example yesterday with the football, I forget, is in these shorter slates to kind of mess around with this raw Sabres and spreadsheet for a minute. So when I built 5,000 lines, I don't know why I built 5,000 lineups with a 2-game slate, whatever. It is what it is. So 4,991 actually showed up in the pool. Mm-hmm. So what you could do, if you want, you download this, and you get all kinds of, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, all kinds of just kind of like raw information on what all these lineups look like. When you rank them by certain different ways. Like normally we just rate them by ROI after you run the Sims. So in the shot ROI, let me just do that again today. Why not? So let's 2-game slate. We got time.
Yeah, of course.
So let me. I'm going to delete some of these things that I don't want to see. Like I don't need these outcomes. Sim optimal. I don't. Well, let's leave that here. And then we don't want dupes. We want sim dupes. Geo mean we'll leave in for now. This is the monster. I don't want to even deal with that. Wait, this is the. Well, this FanDuel, right? Okay, so FanDuel. Let's not deal with the monster. Let's just deal with the other one. So get rid of monster ROI. Get rid of the monster standard deviation. Let's look at the lottery here. Mm-hmm. So this kind of like rates all these lineups in certain ways. Now, if I just put it in kind of as is, as Saber Sim would have wanted me to, I would get just rated by ROI because, as you'll see, when I had it up here in autofill, it was rated here by ROI, sorting by ROI. Okay, so that's why even with this raw spreadsheet, with an ROI, this is the top, the top lineups this way. But if you wanted to, on a 2-game slate, try to get, I want to say not a little different, but you could look at the sim dupes thing if you want. And what this does, this shows you how often this particular lineup showed up in the sim. And so what you could do is eliminate lineups that are overly duped. Now, again, you don't see when we're sorting by ROI many of them that are over duped because that's part of what goes into the ROI. But you could take out some of these at least. And one thing you do is sort by large to small. So in FanDuel, there aren't that many of those. But again, if you resort by ROI, you could maybe do a little better by taking out the ones that are duped a little bit more, maybe. Or if you wanted to sort by win rate, some people think that win rate is even a better way to look at things than the ROI. And again, if you want to just get a low overall low geo mean, you could sort this way. Or if you didn't want to play lineups that left 60,000 on the table, you could again just sort by this, take out all the 60,000s, and then just resort, by ROI. Like, so for example, you just do this. And see all of, and now I'm not saying, listen, the NBA is not like other sports. I mean, you could certainly max out your salary. It's not the end of the world. But if you wanted to do that, and there are actually much faster ways to do it than I'm doing it, but just very primitive way of doing it. You just scroll down here, and then you can just take out all of these lineups that left 60,000 on the table, and, that left nothing on the table, and then just resort by ROI again. So now you're getting the top ROI lineups that have less salary. Now, you could do some of this within actual Saber Sim. Like if you're like in Saber Sim and you have your lineup set like here, you could go like filter, and then you could go add new filter, and then say, for example, salary, and then make sure less than 60,000, and you can sort them out like that. But some of the columns you can't. I don't know. I'm just trying to screw around with those. So that's another thing I'm working on. I will say this: the early returns on my theory about limiting dupes by crossing out these sim dupe things has not really panned out. Like for football, I deleted. Remember that I deleted all of those lineups that had projected sim dupes of even higher than 10. Right? You're like, whoa, that's getting a little bit too aggressive. Even those, I had like 15 lineups that had like over 60 dupes. Okay, so this is not science. For Saber Sim to predict what dupes are, that's we don't know. But so the early returns are fishy as far as that goes. But they're continuing to work on it. We're all continuing to work on it. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it might take a large sample size or some other tweaking that you haven't figured out yet. But I like the idea of anything to get different in these things.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, we'll be live at 6 Eastern to go over this, and we'll finish this one out. If I'm able to, I'm going to try to do at least an early late swap show just to make sure everybody still knows how to do it and do it the right way. There are a few problems I've run into that I've worked through with Jordan, so I have a better idea of explaining how to go through those things. If anybody else is having any problems, let us know and we'll help you out. But see you live at 6 either way.